like you to address speculation that you're leaving Ankara not in the new Air Force One because of security concerns involving Iran. You've spoken today twice about them possibly assassinating you and possibly being successful. Did that concern have something to do with it?
Well, I speak about it a lot because, you know, the life of a president is very dangerous. It's 5.2%. You know what a race car driver is? 1/10 of 1%. A bull rider, that looks pretty dangerous to me. It's 1/10 of 1%. No, it's 5.2% is you don't make it. You should have told me. You're an excellent reporter. You should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it because we have a country that's hot and really, really successful. But I mention it only because it's on the list. I mean, it came out. There was another list came out yesterday, and I'm number one on. I like being number one on TikTok better, but I'm number one on the list for killing. Go ahead.
Hey, Sean McCreesh, New York Times. But why aren't you flying the new plane home?
Say what?
Why aren't you flying on the new Air Force One home?
It's flying to Europe, to one of the big bases, 2 or 3 of the big bases where we can show it to the people. And we'll be going home by normal methods. But we have it going to Europe to a couple of bases, actually one in particular, but it's going to go to a couple of bases stop so the soldiers can see it because it's truly magnificent.
I like...
Lie.
Aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force
Well, I have a
One?
threat all the time. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go, right?
But was there a
So
specific
perhaps someday you want to change professions. What do you have, Daniel?
Is it conclusive that there are strikes ongoing in Iran so that they get...
We just hit them very hard. And I say we hit them 20 to 1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. It did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
Are we returning to a full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I don't know. We'd win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
If they want to make a deal, why do you think they attacked commercial vessels?
Because they're sort of crazy, to be honest with you. They're sort of crazy. They're a little bit out of control, but they want to make a deal. Badly. So
Have you spoken to Senator Mitch McConnell since his hospital?
No, I haven't.
How's he doing?
I have no idea. I have no idea how he's doing.
At the beginning of before the NATO summit, you spoke.
Who are you with?
Reuters. You had
Not the best.
you had issues with. You said you had issues with leaders of Spain, UK.
Yeah.
Very
Spain, I will say I did have issues with
Also
Spain,
Germany.
and I still do. But Spain came back all the way today. Spain was very generous today. You know, I told them I'm going to stop trading.
What did Spain do today?
They made, they honored a request for lots of payment. And if they didn't, we wouldn't even talk to them. They were very bad. They behaved very badly, in my opinion. But there was great unity in that room today. The NATO room was pretty amazing, actually. There was something very good about it. I actually wish the press was able to stay. Now, they may have been different if the press was there, but there was tremendous unity and togetherness. It was quite nice.
Sir, are you going to pull more U.S. troops out of Europe? And if so, how many and where specifically?
I haven't made that final determination. A lot's going to depend on Greenland, and a lot. I mean, you know, I'd make a very good deal on Greenland, and if we don't, maybe I will. And a lot's dependent on Iran. I mean, they want to help now. You know, it's a little late to the thing, because essentially there's not that much fighting to be done. But some will depend on Iran. You know, when they had a chance, an opportunity to help, they chose not to. So, but we're sort of forgetting about that. And now they want to help. They all want to go. They want to help on Iran so badly, but we don't really need help. It's little things, but we don't really need help.
Did President al-Shara make any commitments to you on helping with Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Yeah, he did. He's done a great job. He's unified Syria, the president. Well, I'm not going to say what he said, but yeah, he did. He was great today. He was great, and President Zelensky was great too. We had a lot of good meetings today.
Sir, you suggested that the only reason you came to this summit was because it was held in Turkey. Was this your last NATO summit?
No, I think they came a long way today. They made some concessions, and I think NATO came a long way today. And one of the things, we shouldn't be paying for the kind of money we paid for. No president. I did in my first term, but Biden immediately gave it back. No president should be having to pay the kind of money we pay. And again, we're really there for protecting them, not for protecting us. So it was ultimately protected against protection against the Soviet Union, now Russia, but it was against the Soviet Union. And honestly, we're very far away. We have an ocean separating us. We'll see. The meeting today settled a lot of things. It was a very, very good meeting. And people understand that the United States we've been treated very unfairly. And then on top of that, they weren't there for a really de-nuking. Because it's really not a war so much, it's a de-nuking of Iran. De-nuclearization of Iran. So this is all about taking nuclear weapons, not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons, and everybody should like that, even you.
In Iran, mourners gathered for the funeral procession for the country's former supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, yesterday. He was later buried in the northeast city of Mashhad. During the procession, some carried signs reading, quote, "Trump, we will kill you." CBS News has learned President Trump spoke with Israel's prime minister yesterday. Benjamin Netanyahu's office says the White House gave him updates on American moves in the Gulf. Meantime, the Wall Street Journal reports Israel shared intelligence Iran recently considered a plan to assassinate President Trump. Tensions between the U.S. and Iran remain high after the latest round of strikes we've seen this week. CBS News national security correspondent Charlie Daggett joins us from our D.C. bureau to discuss this. Charlie, good morning. In the overall war picture, how significant are the strikes that we've seen unfold this week?
Yeah, Errol, the fighting this week is by far the most serious escalation we've seen since the U.S. and Iran signed the framework last month. It was supposed to lead to a more permanent peace agreement. Although last night was quiet for the first time in days, that fragile ceasefire is barely holding together. The fight between the U.S. and Iran entered a dangerous new phase, pushing the prospects for peace even further out of reach. This latest back and forth kicked off after U.S. officials said Iran fired on 3 commercial vessels earlier this week in the Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping channel, particularly for oil. The Iranians want to control the strait and have shown they are willing to do it by force.
I think that the Iranians think they're in a position of tremendous advantage right now because they don't think President Trump has the will to sustain a campaign against them.
President Trump himself said this week he wasn't looking for the war to go on, calling the strikes retribution for Iranian aggression.
I think anything that happens is going to be over very quickly.
The strikes may be punitive, but they're also strategic. U.S. officials tell CBS News they've hit more than 170 Iranian military targets along the strait in the hopes of loosening Iran's hold on the waterway. Iran fired back, targeting key U.S. allies in the Gulf, including Kuwait, Qatar, and Bahrain.
This is not anywhere near an end of the war. This is just entering kind of a new phase.
In Iran, this all comes as crowds gathered for the funeral of the late supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Some mourners pictured holding a banner that read, "Trump, "We will kill you." The conflict has prompted extra security measures for President Trump and an unexpected switch. He left the NATO summit in Turkey this week in the old Air Force One, as its replacement, gifted by the government of Qatar, was sent out of the region without him. Now, sources tell CBS News it was on the recommendation of the Secret Service. The old plane is equipped with sophisticated military defenses and secure communication systems that the new Air Force One lacks. The Trump administration says the president remains committed to finding a resolution, but called the recent attacks on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz terrorism. Nevertheless, a U.S. official tells CBS News talks with Iran will continue. Errol?
All right, well, we hope so. Charlie, thank you. CBS News national security contributor Joe Zacks joins us now. He's also the former Deputy Assistant Director for Counterterrorism at the CIA. Joe, good Friday morning to you. Thanks for being with us. So if we just take a big picture here, this week we've seen tactical escalation, security questions around Air Force One, and doubt about future peace. What stands out to you as the most significant development here?
Well, thank you for having me on this morning. And what I would say is I see three top lines here. First of all, that Iran will continually push the boundaries of what the U.S. believes Iran agreed to in the 3-week-old MOU. Second, the U.S. will strike against Iranian aggression, but will do all in its power not to return to prolonged open hostilities. And I think President Trump said as much, and your previous reporting by Charlie also indicated that. But perhaps most importantly, as we continue the diplomatic process and as we try to move forward in agreeing to a final settlement on the nuclear file, the devil is truly in the details, and words matter. And if we're not careful in how we negotiate a final nuclear agreement with Iran, they will do all in their power to take advantage of any lack of clarity or uncertainty or loopholes with respect to any agreement. And we see that, I believe, in what provoked the Iranian aggression earlier this week against the ships trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians are clearly trying and believe that, as they interpret the MOU, they have right to control some of this passage, whereas the U.S. believes that Iran does not have that right, and that there is a right for unfettered transit through the strait. So these kind of disagreements over vagaries in written documents is what leads to this kind of confrontation. So the negotiations are extremely important.
And one of the other details that led to conflict in the early days of this MOU was that Israel would halt its attacks on Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And so far this week, Israel has not got involved in renewed strikes on Iran. Has that surprised you?
No, not at all. I think that this is in enforcement of the Strait of Hormuz, and the free passage of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is really, from Israel's perspective, between the U.S. and Iran to resolve. I don't see Israel rushing in unless the U.S. asks for something very specific with respect to kinetic support for military strikes. I don't see Israel participating in that. But I also don't see Iran provoking attacks against Israel in the same way that they attacked Jordan, Kuwait, and Bahrain earlier this week, because I think they're also quite afraid of Israeli retaliation against them, which tends to be significant and effective.
All right, well, we hope for a peaceful resolution. As always, Joe Zacks, great to get your perspective on this story today. Thanks for being with us from Washington.
Thank you.
Turk. Israel.
Meanwhile, Israel's list of security challenges seems to be growing in every direction pretty much. It began with the war in Gaza. Then came the heightened tensions with Lebanon and the direct confrontations with Iran. Now attention seems to be shifting towards another possible flashpoint, Turkey. The latest developments in West Asia suggesting that Israel and Turkey are heading towards a sharper geopolitical contest, largely centered on Syria. The issue came into focus during a phone call between US President Donald Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister. According to the Israeli readout of the conversation, Trump briefed Netanyahu on American military operations in the Persian Gulf. The two leaders also agreed to continue close coordination across the region. During the conversation, Netanyahu once again raised concerns about the Turkish president. Erdogan, a close ally of Trump and the leader of a NATO member state, has emerged as one of Israel's most vocal critics on the global stage. Since the war in Gaza started, the Turkish president has repeatedly condemned Israel's military actions and strongly backed the Palestinian cause. In fact, at the heart of the tensions is Syria. Israel is increasingly uneasy about Turkey expanding its military presence there. The Israeli energy minister made Israel's position clear, saying that if Turkey establishes military bases in Syria, Israel would consider doing the same. The remarks highlighting a growing geopolitical contest. Turkey has steadily expanded its influence in northern Syria over the past several years and sees developments there as directly linked to its national security. In fact, Israel is increasingly wary of any new military arrangement in Syria that could alter the regional balance or create fresh security risks. Also, despite the rising tensions, NATO is projecting confidence that the situation will not spiral into a wider conflict. Speaking in Turkey during the NATO summit, the Secretary General said he believes President Erdogan will prevent tensions with Israel from escalating. For now, there is no new war, but the latest exchanges suggesting that Israel's security concerns are expanding beyond Gaza, Lebanon, Iran. The focus is increasingly shifting towards Turkey and Syria, opening another chapter, it seems, in the region's complex and often unpredictable landscape. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.